welcome back to another edition of The Closed Fist. I am Russ. That's Will.
Hey now.
And Joey Fingers.
Hey, we've all calmed down since the last segment. We've taken a breather. We've had some coffee. We'll drink, or Russ drank some water. Weird. You know, but we're okay now. We're friends again.
I'm part of the straight edge society. I don't partake in...
Not even caffeine, huh?
Well, no, I have to have caffeine. I have to have some form of it. I just can't have coffee. Because if I have it, I'll be like a 5-year-old on a pixie stick in a Toys R Us store.
Why do you think I act the way I do all the time?
Oh, Lord.
Some coffee.
You want two of us?
No, I want to see him running around. Vince is in the corner. Vince is in the corner.
Yes. Wonderful.
Second greatest episode of The Closed Fist ever.
That could be on our trailer. I'm just saying.
I hope it is. Oh, man, I really hope it is.
But, but we have history again. Another history.
Vince's team. Sorry, I'm going to do this.
We are Evolution, not what we remember as Evolution, but an all-women's pay-per-view coming up.
Evolution of women's wrestling.
Yes. So what are our feelings on that?
I think it's pretty cool. I think that this will give, when I say not notoriety, because it's already got the notoriety, this will give this women's evolution that they've been pushing for the past 2.5 years or so. It's the culmination of that, and it will give it not validity, but if they can carry their own show type of thing. Yeah. But it also will see if it can't. If it sucks.
Which I don't think it will. I mean, you're gonna have a couple of crap matches. There always are. But at the end of the day, like we were talking about it last week in our poll, about having their own show, bringing back the female tag team titles. There's enough women between the two shows. Plus, you could throw some NXT girls in there to move them up. There's enough women to have a show and a pay-per-view for them.
But here's the problem that you have. Well, I shouldn't say a problem. First off, it's great. It's awesome. They deserve it. Let's face it. I mean,
some of those matches have been better than the guys' matches over the past couple years.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah. But did they do it backwards? In that, shouldn't they have done a show first?
No.
And then the pay-per-view?
No, I think this is going to sow, of course, ratings. This word ratings that comes out, that's such a big deal. That's really not. But it shows to see how many people tune into this pay-per-view, to see if these women deserve their own show. I think they do because, like I said, there's so many women fighting over 2 titles.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough time to give anybody's story. Just like, I hate 205 Live was terrible. It still is. Don't get me wrong. It's not my thing. But they gave them their own highlight. They gave them their own title. They gave them their own show. Why can't the women be like that?
Well, I guess the point that I'm
confused.
Go ahead.
You're talking about the hour-long 205 Live. The poll question is, would you rather see pay-per-view versus 1-hour show? Where do you stand? What do you want?
I'd like to see a show.
You want to see the show first before the pay-per-view?
Yes, because I want to. If it's a pay-per-view, obviously there needs to be storylines built into it.
Right. Okay. All right.
And I know they're going to have the storylines between Raw and SmackDown, even maybe some NXT, plus the Mae Young thing. All that stuff's going to get played into it. Great and dandy. But if you want to have a full pay-per-view, you actually need a full storylines on some of these matches.
Yep, and I think that's where I was leading toward was with such a limited time that they're given on SmackDown, Raw. If you want to throw NXT in there, you can throw NXT in there. There's not that much time for them to formulate those storylines, to invest.
Right.
And because one of the things that I've talked to a lot of the wrestlers around here is, Sick Rick Matrix said in an interview I did with him a while back, give fans a reason to invest in that character. They need to be able to soak in that character, invest in that character, invest in the people in the ring, invest in that match.
I think a lot of people are invested in those girls, though.
Oh yeah,
especially and again, it's also a great marketing move too, because they're bringing more younger girls and women into watching this and buying more product and whatnot.
But the problem that you have is that they don't have that time on SmackDown.
That's why they do need a show.
That's why
maybe they need this pay-per-view to prove that it's worth it.
Well,
I mean, it could go either way.
To me, I think you do the show first.
I agree, but at the same time, if they're fighting for TV time and networks and all this stuff, especially with Sinclair, your buddies, they might not be able to put a show out right yet. They may have to prove, hey, this pay-per-view kicked ass. It got X amount of people. Let's build a show off of it.
That's my point. Is the Women's Evolution pay-per-view is one show.
Yes.
So you get to put the Mae Young Classic final on there.
Right.
You have they're going to bring out the women's tag titles. They're going to probably have 4 or 5 other matches included. You probably have 7-8 matches total. Okay. So
And you're going to be building through Raw and SmackDown going into
exactly
the
because perfect to what you just said. I'm invested right now. I watch all the women's matches. I like them. I really like what they're doing right now with Becky Lynch. And how they're building. That's probably the best women's storyline going right now, with her underdog status and building her up, beating everybody. It's going to culminate at SummerSlam with Carmella. Correct.
Correct.
Correct. So, and before you say the writers they'll screw something up.
He's going to say that Ring of Honor is across the street from SummerSlam.
Yeah, at SummerSlam.
And
So
Vince tried to block
anyway,
it.
what I'm saying is that I'm invested in that character.
Yeah.
I enjoy. That's one of the few things. The bright spots right now for me is I enjoy that.
Right.
What they're doing with her. So what I'm saying is, you can do these things to build this pay-per-view for the next 2 months after SummerSlam, build angles and heat and whatever, and they can have this one show. If it's successful, then we go, okay.
And who's to say it's not in the works anyway?
Yeah, of course it is.
They can announce it at the pay-per-view, like, hey,
they can put
in
it
2
out.
weeks, we're starting a show.
Because guess what? When NXT moves to FS1 in January or February, they could put the women's show right there on Wednesday nights.
But my thing is that okay, that's great, and I've always been a fan of Becky Lynch.
Fantastic. She's the best they got.
One of the best workers, and despite her, I know they don't like accents on the.
They don't like accents. Half their
Their roster is an accent.
The way they pushed Wade Barrett to nowhere.
I know.
Like he was the second coming. Anyway, sorry.
But I like what they're doing as well. I mean, it's about time she got some wins and whatever.
Yeah.
Title shot. But that's only one. They're talking about involving 50 women. Now, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying don't do that. I mean, you want to bring some from the past.
Of course, Lita, Trish, everybody. Yeah.
I mean, however,
they're going to show the evolutions with their years.
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones that help build up, though, that's great. But as far as like the matches and storylines, I just think that they should have, after the first Mae Young Classic, which was what, 2 years ago?
A year ago.
Yeah. However long that was, they should have done the show off of that.
I think that was the
it wasn't
the
big
spark
enough
that lit this into, hey, maybe we can actually do something with this.
I think the Women's Royal Rumble was that spark.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Let's put it this way.
The Money in the Bank, all this has been building up like, hey,
it's all that way.
Well, let's put it this way. They've had multiple sparks. That being the Mae Young Classic, the Women's Royal Rumble.
And that's what got the ball rolling into this, to give them that pay-per-view.
And it just seems, to me, I just think that they need something, they need a platform to build those storylines, to build up the pay-per-view.
This is what I might see happening. Evolution's going to be the women's WrestleMania. They're going to end and start storylines off of that. That's how they...
I know what you mean, but that's a long time.
But that's how they grow into that show. That's how they grow into whatever they're going to plan on doing.
Well, the biggest show of the year, Great Balls of Fire, is going to be the
small balls in the freezer.
I'm sorry.
But I
pissed
think
the ghost off.
Yeah, you did. Talk about his balls of fire.
Oh my God,
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Way too much talk about balls all of a sudden. But to me, I just think that it's a huge undertaking. I just don't think, and the pay-per-view was when in October.
October, yeah.
Halloween weekend, I think it is, or something.
It's replacing Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, but I just think that you have 3 months you have 2 shows. Maybe, well, if you want to throw NXT, because I think they're going to throw some of the NXT women in there,
yeah.
which is fine.
You have to.
Who's the, what, yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
What they're basically
however,
going to do, they're going to build this to the point where it's ready to explode, and it's going to explode at Evolution, and that's where everything changes into whatever the next step is.
The show. It'll be an
has
hour
to be the
program.
show.
It'll be an hour program.
It has.
It's
It
the
has to be the show.
the tag team champions, which I've been saying for 2 years they need, because there's too many women, not enough time, and not enough titles. You can't have 19 women fighting for one title per show.
Well,
It's retarded.
no, it's beyond.
Even with the guys, you mark it down to what, 4 or 5 guys are in the title march? You have every woman fighting for one title. That's why I think a show, and you can even run with. They have your women, your SmackDown, you have your Raw, you have your women's TV show championship, and your tag champion.
No,
There's
I mean,
enough to mix enough women into that.
yeah, well, I mean, personally, I think they should,
I think they should put Vince in a corner.
and he was.
I hate you.